His price out of the Far East is a quarter of what I could supply. I couldn't even get the material here for that price. I could probably drive 30 minutes in every direction and run into 20 to 50 machine shops. How am I going to be different than all those others? And how can I provide value to my customer over them? How's it going, guys? Justin Rebb from Zealous Manufacturing here. On today's episode of American Made, I wanted to go over a topic that I think is becoming more prevalent lately. You'll hear a lot of people talking about it. And what I call the X factor. What makes you different than all the other machine shops that exist out there? So let's get into it. So what I mean by the X factor, or what makes you different, is where I live here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, I could probably drive 30 minutes in every direction and run into 20 to 50 machine shops in every direction. That's not an exaggeration. Milwaukee, Wisconsin is a heavy industrialized city. You know, a lot of big name companies are headquartered here. You can think of all of the ones that are super popular, one of the leading motorcycle manufacturers, one of the leading tool manufacturers. These are all big name companies that exist here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I always say, what makes me unique? If there's so many different machine shops, how do you distinguish yourself? They could both have the same machining center, they could have the same capabilities, work with the same tools. Why would you choose the difference? There has to be a distinguishing factor. Sometimes it is price. As a business owner, I usually am trying to weed that out a little bit. I always ask for a target price, just kind of upfront. Hey, am I even in line with what you're thinking? I really don't like, you know, you have this great looking opportunity comes by, you look at it, you're kind of quoting it, and you throw out a price, and they're like, oh, you're 5 times higher than I was expecting. It's like, oh, that's we're not even on the same level here. Sometimes if it's not NDA work, I'll kind of feel out a couple other friends that own shops, say, what would you think? Just to make sure I'm not way overpricing, or, you know, if I'm way too high. I like to ask for that target price because sometimes customers only care about price. I mean this in a polite way. When you get the purchasing people that are asking you for those requests, they're usually price driven. Their bonuses or their pay structures based on cost savings to the company, not necessarily finding the best business relationship with a supplier. So that's something you got to think about there. Another one might be quality. I always joke, if I get parts with burrs on them from a supplier, I'm a little upset. You know, just take that extra step to try and make your parts better. Finishes, not saying everything has to be a mirror finish, but anytime I can make a nice looking finish, I try to. It's sometimes kind of a detriment to me because I'm always like trying to tweak it a little bit here or there to get a better finish. And then sometimes it could just be location or lead time. I often say there's a million shops that are struggling for work. They're going to do whatever they can to get you parts next day. You know, some shops can do that, some shops can't. You know, some shops charge an expedite fee, especially if they're booked up and busy. I always say there's less story, right? Tell the story when you're trying to get a part quoted. You'll probably see that in another video. I talked all about what I think you should have before getting a job quoted. That story can kind of help build that business relationship. So those are some of the things that I think you can kind of play around with, make yourself a distinguishing business to others. And again, there's a million shops. You have to stand out somehow, whether it be your marketing, your website. You know, it was kind of funny, and I thought about doing it once. I once had somebody send me a business card, and it was like just their hand, and it was his name, his like phone number, his business name, and email address just written on his hand, and that was his business card. I still have that business card to this day because I thought it was hilarious, right? That's, you know, people will remember that forever anytime they see that, I bet. So I thought that was cool. So just find something that makes you different than the others. You know, you'll hear others talk about their niche or the niche market they're in. I think that niche markets are kind of going away because everybody's either looking for work or the market is flooded with shops, so they don't have a niche. They're just willing to quote anything. So I think niche markets are starting to go away. They might come back. I don't know. I don't have my Houdini hat on currently to predict that future. But one thing I think you're going to start seeing is you're going to start seeing more people have a niche in the way they operate or the way that they conduct themselves. Like I said, you'll see shops now that they're pretty much, we do prototype work. We want 5 pieces or less. While it's not a niche industry that they're in a niche development process, right? We don't want 1,000 pieces. We don't want 1,000,000 piece runs. We want 5 pieces or less, get you up and going, and then move on to the next job. So you'll see different shops like that. Some shops are like, I don't want anything unless it's 100 pieces or more. Some shops are, I know a couple shops that they only want to deal in high-end exotic materials, the Hastex, Inconels, all those high nickel content materials, or super alloys they call them. They only want to deal in that. They don't want any aluminum, no plastic, no stainless, no steels. They kind of said, we only want to operate in the super alloy world, and that's all we're going to entertain. Anything else, we're not interested. So that makes them unique, right? I know if I have a Hastex job come in or an Inconel job that comes across my desk, I'm like, go to company ABC. They love this work. That's what they specialize in. And then periodically they'll do the same to me. They'll say, hey, got a couple aluminum jobs. We're just not really interested in it. We don't do aluminum. You interested in quoting it? So again, what is your X factor that's going to make you different and unique? And I think once you develop that and you can market around it and develop your brand or image around that, I think you'll really get to see how unique and the world that you operate in can really help you grow. Just the general topic of reshoring, I don't care where you're located. I've got friends in Canada. I've got friends in Central America and South America that run shops. And then people here, right? There's that big topic of reshoring to North America. The problem here I see with that whole topic is sometimes the price point is not, even closely remote. I had a guy send me, it was a big shaft that they needed for a motor assembly. I quoted it, and he told me that his price out of the Far East for one is a quarter of what I could supply, even with duty and tariffs and all that stuff that's going on in the world. And then when I looked at it, I couldn't even get the material here for that price. So I was kind of like, I'd love to help you, but I just can't. If this is purely price point, if you're looking for a steady supplier, that's local, that's in North America, that can kind of work with you, I'm glad to help. But if it's purely price, I can't help you, unfortunately. I had another item, similar case. It was like a big stainless puck that just had a contour on the outside with a counterbore hole in it, essentially. It was a spacer of some sort. And I did the math. Material, my cost was about $6 US. They were hoping for a target price of $1.30. I said, I can't even get the bar here and for that price, let alone cut a slug before it even goes into a machine. So those are things that you got to think about. Ultimately, that customer was very appreciative of my honesty up front. I was like, hey, I'd love to help you. Can't hit your price point, but if you're looking to reshore anything, glad to give you another quote on anything else. So I think that honesty also helps in some cases. You'll see a lot of shops that overcommit and underdeliver. I always joke that my word is the only thing I have. If I have no money, at least I have my reputation left. So why would somebody come and choose me? That's something I thought about when I started Zealous Manufacturing. So if you've watched the shop tour video, when I started this, I was an engineer. Why I did this is kind of unique. So when I dropped out of high school, I went right to the workforce, and I remember day one, working in the industry, working as a shop floor person. Wasn't in the machining industry, actually. I was in the printing industry. And one thing I remember is, engineers coming down, they're going to install some new software, they're going to do something, this is going to be the greatest thing ever, and it's going to make your life so much easier. And all of us kind of said, I don't think this is going to work. We kind of said, hey guys, have you thought about this or that? And I remember a young engineer vividly told me, don't worry, we know it'll work. And I'll leave out the explicits there, but that mentality of engineer and shop floor, and they never work together, that really bothered me at the heart. So when I thought about it, I said, why is there not somebody who does both sides, right? You'll always see it, and I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, and I really don't. I think this is how we should operate. The machine shop, the engineers, they need to work together to create the best product at the most desirable price point, at the easiest manufacturability, etc. I've been on both sides of that coin now. I run my own machine shop. I've seen engineer drawings that come through, and I'm like, let me help you. Let me guide you through this. And then, they're I love when I do that and the person's an engineer and they say, hey, you know, I'm an engineer, we know what we're doing, and I kind of have to say, yeah, me too. So let's work together. Let's make this product more manufacturable to drive your costs down, or, you know, are there features that really need to be that tight of a tolerance? So on the Ultimate series, you probably saw me mention one thing that really drives me nuts is over tolerances, things that don't need to be that crucial, or then they say, oh yeah, I'll tweak that for you, and then they send it back and you're like, great, you didn't do anything really, you still made an unmanufacturable feature. So that was one thing that when I started Zealous Manufacturing, I said I wanted to change. I wanted to drive the difference, or get rid of the wedge between engineering and machine shop or manufacturing. So one thing that makes me a little different is I can play both sides of the card, or the coin, whatever you want to say, and I really like to do that. So I recently had a request that came through. They were kind of, you know, giving me a hard time about, well, do this or do that, and I was kind of like, hey, you know, I know what you're dealing with. I'm an engineer. I worked in engineering for the last 12 plus years. So I know what you guys are dealing with, you know, pressures from other departments or whatnot. So I said, let's work together. Let's sit down. Let's see what is the main goal or the objective or the final result that you're looking for, desiring, and let's see where we can help out there. So sat down, we had a Teams call or a video chat, did a bunch of work with them. And then they were really ecstatic to do that because they now have, you know, they have somebody who shares their background in engineering, but also has that manufacturing background. It can tell them, hey, what if we did this instead of that? You know, would that be okay? That I think it'll be a little easier to do on our end in the machine shop. And you could see that the engineers were kind of like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. Let's be honest. I always joke there are 1,000 ways to skin a cat, especially when you program a part. Whatever way works for you is great. But sometimes that outside opinion, just the light bulb goes off and you're like, oh man, how come I didn't think of that? So I always encourage outside opinion whenever possible. That's one thing that really drives Zealous Manufacturing is how can we provide value to you? Curious of what you guys think about the X factor or distinguishing factor and how you incorporate it into your business or how someone you might work for operates and what makes them unique. Drop a comment below. I'm interested to hear some of those stories. And as always, like, subscribe, turn on notifications for more Practical Machinist content.